All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Professor Caudill, and today I don't have, as far as the time schedule goes, I don't have too much constraints, but there's a topic I want to go over that I can't really devote enough time to write papers on it, but maybe this video can help me figure out my thoughts. So this is the the tenets of substrate theology. Okay, so keyword here is substrate, and I've written down 6 things, but then they start to contradict each other. So the goal is profound spiritual experiences. We'll call that PSE. All right, so and I want to preface, I'm not making a religion, I'm not making a cult. This is just an exploration. Theology is like a scholarly study. It's not nothing like that. So we get PSEs from we get PSEs from salvation, i.e. the feeling of freedom from knowing one's time alive is spent and maximized by existing within the greatest quality of substrate made possible by science and engineering, where greatest is up to interpretation but might include longevity. So, in other words, it is like the best we can do, the best form we can live in right now is carbon biological electrochemical bodies, and we obtain salvation by moving to more sustainable form. Like maybe if we lived in a silicon body, not only will we live longer, but we might life might be more meaningful because we can compute our thoughts faster. So again, this kind of plays on themes of like TV shows like Altered Carbon. Um, that's just in the popular culture. Silicon bodies. And I named it Substrate because I don't want to limit the theology to a type of material or an element. From silicon, maybe we go to, you know, n the nth substrate. So that's the first tenet, and essentially, so basically, our theology is so it's a hedonistic hedonistic theology. So if you're not familiar with hedonism, that's a philosophy, an ethics philosophy, where the best thing to do is maximize one's happiness. And happiness is a feeling. So in that sense, it's kind of hedonistic. I don't know. It's the best terminology, but we're focusing on the feeling. The feeling of profound spiritual experience. So how do we, so this is one. Okay. So let's move to the second one. So the second tenet is one's mind can be expressed as a dynamically unfolding topological pattern over time, as analogous to a computer algorithm, where photons for vision and input for other sensors act as input or informs an instruction set of the mind. For example, if you see a threat, one instinctively chooses to fight, flight, or freeze. It doesn't involve any thinking, it's just an automatic response. So this is basically saying one's mind is like a changing, like a dynamic math problem which can be computed. Okay, so basically, if this is true, then that means the mind basically separates mind from body slash substrate. Okay, so this is one of our tenets. Okay, and let's go to the third tenet. So we're going to call this the mind's algorithm, MA. Okay, so tenet 3 says the MA may instruct one or more bodies directly. Okay, and the MA may be transferred from one qualia of substrate to another. So basically this allows for mind upload, download, transfer among bodies slash substrates. So like for example, moving from carbon to silicon body, And what this means is, like right now, the carbon body is kind of limited to controlling just the body it inhabits, but a silicon body, a mind controlling a silicon body might be able to control multiple bodies, just because the nature of the chemical, electrical circuits, it's more flexible, I guess. And if you're like taking a holistic approach, you're probably not even viewing those bodies as separate. Um, so yeah, and this basically suggests a biological and transition into silicon or other substrates. So yes, so this posits that you don't have to be limited to a biological body. You can change substrates, and the why this gets into theology is profound spiritual experiences might be routinely obtained by furthering research and making artwork or communicating about these tenets. Okay, so the fourth says profound spiritual experiences can be obtained through educating others, studying, let's just say transhumanist philosophies, um, and C, communicating or participating in dialogue about substrate theology. Okay, C and D. And the next one is actively contributing to the relevant sciences and engineering. What do I want to say? Progression. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Now, the caveat is must be however this is defined, but it must be like a genuine PSB feeling, not simply merely altering neurons. Like for example, we don't consider someone that's addicted to heroin as genuinely happy because or many don't, because the reason might be they're it's not genuine feelings of happiness or whatever. Again, this word genuine is very subjective. I'm not trying to I'm trying to suspend judgment, but that is one thing to consider in this theology is what is real, what is fake, what can be considered a genuine feeling, especially when um, it's so involved with the brain and the brain's processes. So that's kind of a philosophical debate. So what else? So D, just to elaborate more on D, that might be through um, contributing to building brain machine interfaces, or also called carbon silicon inter, or if you want to get even more general, we're going to say cross substrate. And as well as like contribute to literature. It's not exclusively on brain machine interfaces. Like for example, profound spiritual experiences might be obtained by. I should also add E, making artwork about the topic, um, making drawings or music or movies. I think movies are a nice way because it's such a non-intuitive Western concept. So the fifth tenet, I'm gonna say a question mark because I'm not really sure if I want this to be if this should be a tenet, but the goal, like one goal of a person might be to maximize the time spent in a PSE. So we want if goal is max in a um, then automate science and engineering efforts. For example, it might be this kind of assumes artwork and dialogue is better than or producing PSEs. Now I know a lot of people might disagree with this, but you know, this think for yourself, I guess. At the end of the day, it's a subjective personal experience. So for example, for me, if I want to spend time in a PSC related to subject theology, maybe I don't want to spend my time studying the science and engineering and how the brain works and the hard philosophies that go with it as well. Maybe, like, for example, some say Christianity is Platonism for the masses. Some might say Christianity is a simplified form of Platonism, and to some extent. Um, so maybe a theology shouldn't have science and engineering, or maybe it should be automated, or just just deferred to others. It's not like you can't study science and engineering and also be a substrate theologian, but I think it might be hard to combine the two. So that's why this is a question mark. Fifth tenet, maybe it's better if you want to maximize your time. I don't even know if that's a good idea. Maybe you shouldn't spend your time in kind of a dazed, spiritual, profound spiritual experience. They might just think you're crazy. So, a lot of considerations in these, especially with our postmodern biases. Religion's not as popular in the culture, so it's hard to even buy into many things. So the sixth tenet talks about artwork, teaching, communicating. So we talked about, okay, so if this is true, so if 5 is true, why not automate the processes of artwork or dialogue via say generative AI, artificial intelligence models. I'm going to say, as an example, Sora, OpenAI, Sora, or VO, Google's VO. That's a text to video large language model. You put in some text or other input and it generates a real-time physics accurate movie. So this is why this is why 5 is questionable, because if you're automating one way to get the profound spiritual experience, then why can't you just automate the other processes that supposedly generate profound spiritual experiences like artwork or dialogue? But then what are you left with? How do you? Because then you're just consequences. You're just watching movies. Let me say movies based on Substrate Theology, which evoke PSEs, profound spiritual experiences. So I don't know if this is desirable. It's basically like imagine all the churches for other religions. The preacher just says, okay, everyone, we are going to just do this like a live stream. A lot of people don't buy into that. A lot of people will say, community is a profound element of profound spiritual experiences. So maybe just artwork should be automated. So maybe the best way to maximize one's time in a profound spiritual experience is to get involved with the Substrate Theology community via dialogue. And what this video is doing is maybe this might be the first step in such a movement. There's a lot of parallels between the transhumanist philosophies and other religions, in my opinion. And I feel like there's some psychological benefit from religion. So I don't think we can just go backwards in time. So this is kind of a new religion that, you know, you have a profound divine experience. You get a feeling of divinity by being a part of expanding consciousness and life and improving the body, improving the mind through a lot of transhumanist concepts. So maybe I'm alone in this. I'm not saying I have had profound spiritual experiences, but I think it's possible. I think it's just a framework. I think it's just a matter of framing the problem or presenting the matter. I think it's a big part of it is just presentation of the material. It's all about appearances and packaging, the dialogue. So this video might not have all the bells and whistles that evoke feelings of divinity, but I think if one put an effort into building a theology on top of transhumanist profound spiritual experiences, I think maybe it'd be powerful for everyone that's interested. So again, I wanted to write a paper on this, but I just don't have time, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Hope you found value in this video, and I wish you the best, and thank you. Goodbye.